Conservatives are living in a completely different information world
Absolutely.
than liberals.
Where we have it?
And breaking that down needs to be done. Because when you don't ever even hear the facts, it's hard to even know that you're wrong. And that happens a lot.
Why is she talking to Rodman's cousin?
Half my job sometimes is knowing what the latest conspiracy is.
Look at
So
that
if
ugly
it comes up, I'm ready to address it.
Okay, a quick aside. She has to thank you because you made fun of her for so long, the fat jokes, that's why she lost weight.
That's right. I write for another show, and then every night they pound on it. I introduced the... And honest to God, I could mark the calendar where it started. And there's a few other ones, too. I can't get to Nadler. He won't break.
Oh, geez. You know what? I don't think that had sound, did it? I want to play it again. I'm not going to play the intro, but I have to play the clip at least real quick because it's too funny. It's too funny, and it's too relevant to the show. So, did that come through, or was that? Oh wait, no, I think it might have come in anyway because yeah, this controls. I would listen to it again. You know what? I think I have it pulled up on screen. Let me just check. I don't want to be anal about it, but I'm really curious now because I went back and forth about what clip to play on the intro, and the thing that sent it over the top was the last line, literally the last line where you can't get to Nadler. I don't think anybody could get to Nadler, honestly, for losing weight. Oh God, nobody's gonna get the penguin to stop waddling around Washington D.C. in his penguin suit. But anyway, let me make sure that actually. Because now I'm curious. Now I'm really curious. There we go.
Conservatives are living in a
Oh
completely
yeah, it did come
different
through.
information
Okay,
world.
never mind. All right, good to know. Okay, I guess I don't have to play that again. So good. I was a little worried. I forgot. With the new setup, the way it is, the stream comes through with the audio interface and the DAW setup at the recording for the front end, but for the intro clip, I can't play it through through the main source for the actual show, so I have to basically use the main audio, whatever your main audio device is for the output on that one. So it's a different device than the one I have set up for the show to turn on and off for sound. So that's why it would come through and nothing else would come through. Anyway, more complicated stuff, and I'll try and keep it to a minimum. Good to hear. Yeah, thanks, MLA. I'm glad. I was just I wanted to make sure that one came through. And Nick DiPaolo is freaking hilarious. So because I never thought about it, but Joy Reid and Dennis Rodman, they do look related in some weird sense. But so I've touched on this on X, and I'll just clear it up here because the last week has been a nightmare, and I think I mentioned a little bit about this when I did the last show I did, but that was over 2 weeks ago now, and oh man, I've been depressed as hell because I haven't been able to do the show, and it really sucks. But so, and this is also a cautionary tale, by the way. Any of you out there who have Windows, particularly Windows 11, and if you're kind of not always up to date on your updates for Windows, just the regular updates that come in for Windows itself, there was a release for a Windows update for 25H2, and I'd heard a number of people mention that this was a really finicky patch. It was one that was causing a lot of problems for a lot of people, and there was not really any like uniform pattern of things that were happening directly as a result, but it seemed like there was a cause that was kind of similar, which is why I bring up people who don't always update, because what it seemed like was that if you weren't coming from the the last update specifically, and you were updating from anything else, it was going to cause a lot of problems. Um, and so I thought I would be fine because for me, in general, I don't have to worry about that. I keep up with updates most of the time. And I did in this case too, but I had one little bit of a problem because this is the part that I definitely know I mentioned last time, because I was planning on swapping everything, basically doing a drive swap from my hard disk drive to solid state drive, which I'm probably the last person who owns a PC that's actually doing that for my hard drive that has Windows on it, which is, I realize now, is stupid as hell. I mean, this thing works incredibly well. And it's not even like a super expensive, super high end solid state drive, but I did the transfer. It took forever, but I did the transfer on the solid state drive, and I got everything off the hard disk drive. The thing was about, I swear, that thing was over 15, maybe 20 years old even, and I couldn't believe it was going. It was going as strong as it was. Yeah, good for you. I'm glad you're here, man. Jeez, it's been rough, man. But so I did the transfer. I thought everything was fine, but the update came in after I had already did the transfer, and I wasn't thinking about it, and I went ahead and did the update, and so my hard disk drive was updated to the new version, but the solid state drive that I was going to put in, I didn't get the update. And so when I swapped everything over, I had to do the update again, and I thought, well, I'm still updating from an older version, from the last version, and that's all right. It should be fine. But like, it didn't work out that way. It just like I kept getting crash after crash after crash after crash, and sometimes it would take 5 minutes. Sometimes it would take an hour. Sometimes it would take an hour and a half. Like, there would be these huge differences in time, but there would always be a crash, and it wasn't a blue screen crash. It was crash to a black screen and automatically restart, and it just kept happening over and over and over again. And I tried to troubleshoot it the best I could, but nothing was working, and I finally kind of was of the opinion that, like, okay, I'm guessing that this has to do with Windows itself. Windows is not going to be happy unless I basically do a reinstall of Windows 11. Um, Let me make sure everything's backed up, and everything was backed up. But there was another problem that came up when I switched. This is why it's just thing after thing after thing, and I won't go too far into it, but you'll get the idea after I just go through the next thing. So, um, I actually kind of decided, I kicked it around, and I was just like, you know what? I bought a new copy of Windows 11 because I have enough parts that are left over from a bunch of my old builds. Some of them are nearly new, to build another PC almost entirely. I think I need, no, I don't even need a new power supply. I have a backup power supply. I have a really good graphics card. I have two motherboards. One of them is really good. I have a case. I have pretty much everything I need to. The only thing I guess I'm missing would be the peripherals, the keyboard, the mouse, the monitor, and that's pretty much it. But I figured that I'd get a copy of Windows ahead of time so that when I built it, I would have that ready to install. So that when um, when I got it done, I could just sell it as a custom built PC. um, but I was deciding, I'm not ready to do that anytime in the immediate future, and I think it'd be better to just start fresh with this. I don't want to go through the process of a reset. I'll just install a new version of Windows. There'll be no question whatsoever that everything should be fine under that circumstance. Now, that part was true, but unfortunately, there's two issues. One of them is how much I didn't realize that this had gone on because I'd blocked this on my old PC, and I guess I could block this now, but I don't know how much of it's going to be affected. And another part is not so directly connected because the cloud, Microsoft's cloud storage is really being pushed hard by Microsoft right now. And they're trying to get you to buy more cloud storage space like at every turn. They're just shoving it in your face all the time. So I basically had like, it gives you 5 gigs of space. And it's like, okay, that's nice. But I've filled up, the 6 terabytes or 7 terabytes worth of data. So we're nowhere close to that. I'm not buying that much. So no. But the other thing that was really weird is that I thought this was because of the cloud storage. Now I'm not so sure because it very well could be a plugin or some kind of firmware update or something because um, especially when it comes to editing videos. So like when you're browsing through and you need to see like a thumbnail to get a quick look, just like glancing through everything to like make sure you see what you're picking out. On a lot of the things I transferred from an old hard drive into the new setup, even if it's on the same drive, even to be honest, even though it's on the same drive, but it's on a new motherboard and it's even the same CPU. This is a new version of Windows and a new same edition of Windows, new version. Anyway, there's very few differences, but it's not coming up with a thumbnail image. It's not coming up with any kind of picture or still image. It's just showing the image for the program that you use to run it. Meanwhile, anything that I create that's new, it actually does have an image on there. So I don't know how that happens. And then the last thing are these little symbols that are in the corner, and I don't know really exactly what they mean because once again, I thought it was related to cloud storage because at first it seemed like it was all the stuff that I had transferred over that wasn't saved and backed up on cloud, but now I'm getting stuff that I've saved when I use. By the way, updated to Premiere Pro, so I'm using that now for at least a while. They just had a deal I couldn't refuse because I'm already paying for After Effects, so I might as well jump on this deal they had for pretty much the whole Creative Suite for damn good price for 12 months. So I was like, nah, it's less than I'm paying for Adobe Premiere, not Premiere, After Effects for each month. So might as well jump on it. And so I got that whole package. But so anything I used from I got the newest version of Magix Vegas. I got the newest version of Premiere Pro. I got some other editing software, and basically some of the new stuff that I edit and put into my folder, I can see the thumbnail for, and most of them I can't. And it's really freaking annoying because when I'm trying to edit videos, I can't, like I said, I can't see what the hell I'm looking at um, until I actually put it into the editor. And I need to start naming things really way more specific so I get the idea of exactly what it is that the file is for. But I never had to do that. I just had to get something vague on there because it was easy to tell what it was based on what it was closest to. Anyway, that's been large part of the problem. The other part was as I thought I was good to go about 3 days ago. I thought I was completely finished, no more issues, everything's fine. There was one more thing, though, and this is what held me up the last couple of days because um, there was there were things about my audio setup in particular that I didn't really remember until I actually had to set it up again, and that was a big pain in the ass. But uh, I thought for sure every time I was about to work on it, okay, it should be done now. Okay, I'm good. And then I had to get the last thing, and this was a real middle finger because there were so many things that I had that I wanted to cover. I had all these video clips saved from things that were going on at the time just before I was going to do the last episode before this whole thing went down. And now all of it's old news. The shutdown's over, and like we all have seen Mamdani won in New York, so we've got our socialist mayor or communist mayor or whatever the hell he is, and it's so there's not a lot of those things that were going on, and still questioning when the shutdown was going to end, who was going to win the mayoral race, and and what was going to happen in some of the other off-year elections and things like that. Now we have answers to all those questions, and now we get to respond to them. But I had all those clips planned for talking about things before all that stuff happened. So I had to go back and get rid of everything that was irrelevant and I didn't need anymore, and that took forever too, because then I had to get new clips and edit those. And yada yada yada. This whole thing was a complete fucking nightmare. Everything was absolutely just completely fucking ridiculous. Yeah, it would be really awesome if there was a because like Linux is great if you're an enthusiast and you got like some kind of more specific needs and you're really just looking for I mean it's free and it's oh geez and it's a really pretty damn decent operating system, but especially if you're coming off of Windows, it's pretty easy to get used to. But it does have some issues with allocating some resources, like to the point that, and a lot of it goes back to fucking DirectX. I swear that's one of the worst parts about Microsoft is that they own DirectX. So if you want some immediate gaming compatibility with some of the most up-to-date HD video software, you're really going to need to have DirectX installed or some kind of equivalent. And that's the thing with, why is this thing? Hold on. There's a piece of hair kept getting in my face. Um, the thing about the iOS and Macs is that as far as audio goes, Mac technically kind of has the better software infrastructure to like get programs running a little bit better, but uh, there's a shortcut you can use. It's kind of cheating almost, but it works so well that I don't care. But ACO's front end for audio, if you're using any kind of audio interface, usually you're going to have to use ACO as the compatible software for your computer. But ever since they released the compatible like version for Windows that was not fully functional in the same way, but was capable of acting as a stand-in for ACO, so that you could use anything that was an audio interface that was usable on a iOS, a Mac computer or whatever. If as long as you have ACO for all software, you can use the same thing on PC. So they managed to have a solution prepared for that. But as far as for Microsoft, Macintosh and Macintosh, it's not even called Macintosh anymore, is it? It's just Apple. I don't know. Is it even called Macintosh anymore? I don't know the company. I don't care. Whatever. Anyway, the point is that iOS, Android. Android's a totally different beast, and I honestly, I'm not a big fan of Android OS, but in a lot of ways, it's really convenient. It's just not the easiest to navigate, not the easiest to troubleshoot. So there's that problem. But anyway, no more nerding out. We'll talk a little. We'll talk about we'll talk about what's been going on with around the things we normally talk about. But where should we start? Well, my goodness, if you can't guess by the title and by the description, there's some insane shit going on. Like, there's some really insane shit going on, and I have to warn everybody ahead of time. This is going to be another one of those episodes where I might just lose my shit. So, fair warning ahead of time. There's probably going to be some colorful language involved. But I just can't hold back on this because this is really getting on my nerves, and I've been hearing all sorts of people coming out making claims about about polls and about who's doing good in this, who's doing good in that, and yada yada yada. I don't really put a lot of stock in any of them anymore because there's basically it's like they were on the chopping block after the whole like mainstream media was put on the chopping block for being all completely partisan and usually leftist. But then there's the same concept for what do you call it? Geez, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, the point is that like so we have the big things going on. We have the shutdown that abruptly ended, and of course everybody got pissed at Schumer. Everybody got mad at Schumer, and AOC is out there flailing around, acting like a lunatic. Bernie Sanders is out there getting pissed off, acting like a lunatic. The only person left in that damn party that has any kind of common sense whatsoever is John Fetterman. And then we get the mayoral race, and it's I'll get into that. Trust me, because that's a real funny. I thought when I first saw some recent events, I thought, well, this could be all right, but now I'm kind of recognizing what was going on. Not really what was going on, but what the sort of power dynamic um, would be thinking of in terms of the purpose of having this meeting and what came out of it, because an interesting story came in my head. But we'll get to that when we get to that part. First, we'll get to what should I start with? There's like three main areas I wanted to get to, and some of the like really big stuff that I think is like always in like front and center lately. One of them is, of course, the Epstein stuff. I really am sick and tired of it. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. I'm tired of hearing about the stupid Epstein shit. But I got to go over what I think is going on here because there's some real big bombshells that have come out lately, and I've been just at the bare minimum, I've been laughing my ass off because of how stupid the Democrats are. Um, yeah, you're welcome, man. I try to keep, I'll try to keep it not too extreme, but man, there's only so much stupidity you can take, and when you're listening to absolute morons that I mean, so two other subjects. There's uh, your whole Epstein saga, and that'll kind of conclude with the next subject, which will be Jasmine Crockett, who may have given the most embarrassing, terrible, pathetic, ridiculous answer to a question on live television I've ever seen in my life. And if I was conservative and if I was running for office of any kind, I would basically make that interview my campaign ad for why you shouldn't vote Democrat for like the next like 10 years. Because she admits some incredibly damaging things while providing the most weak defense I've ever heard. It's like she thinks that this is totally fine. She thinks she's going to get a pat on the head and say, "Good job, well done, Jasmine." When really, I don't know enough about this the games world to know exactly what's going on, but I do know it's not good. And if it was Jasmine in that spot, that'd be appropriate. But the point is that this was a question from CNN. This was a question from Caitlin Collins, of all people. And when Caitlin Collins is asking a question and you're a Democrat and you give an answer that is so absolutely stupid that even she looks like confused at what in the hell are you talking about? You know something's off. You know something's really wrong there. So anyway, and then we'll follow that up with the last main subject, which is of course kind of the dynamic with Trump and then Epstein, Mamdani, and then the whole Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, which I think is honestly, um, well, when I get to it, I don't even have that strong of a feeling about it, but I do have some things to tie it back to because I think it's reflective of something that I've been noticing for a while and I've been wanting to talk about, but I was just looking for the right occasion to bring it up, and this is probably the best occasion I'll have to talk about it. So we'll go into it after that. But anyway, so let's start with subject number one, which was, of course, the Epstein thing. Now, I'll just say it here and just pardon me. Talk about a shit show. I mean, my lord, this has been the most embarrassing saga. If I was, I mean, I don't know how the whole Democrat Party in Washington can be as completely aloof. Is the best word I can think of. They are in bizarro world while they're talking about this stuff. I mean, it literally makes zero sense how they're trying to tie this together, because it's common knowledge by pretty much everyone now at this point that when Trump was made aware that Epstein was creeping on young girls at Mar-a-Lago, he kicked him out. That was the end of them as in terms of their personal relationship. But there's also knowledge that is, I would think, would be common, but God knows in DC, who knows what's actually common knowledge. But it's been reported by enough people in the FBI and with other law enforcement agencies to know that Trump not only was someone who worked with the FBI to testify and um, provide his own accounts of what he believed and what he knew of Epstein and what he was up to. But the other thing is that out of everyone that was subpoenaed to appear in court for Epstein, because this is when he was put in jail the second time he got put on trial. This is after they gave him the little so-called penalty and punishment, and his penalty was basically to supposed to be to come back to the prison at night and stay there overnight, and then in the morning he could get up and go do whatever he needed to do. And I'm sure you get one sympathetic person in that building and they would let him go anywhere. He could go fly around the world to be hanging out with his best friend Prince Andrew at the time, who, by the way, can say this about Britain: at the bare minimum, they excommunicated Prince Andrew because of what a sleazeball he is. And when he gave that interview to the BBC about trying to defend himself for Virginia Dufresne or Virginia Roberts, or what's her? I know it's Dufresne. There's always two names though, because she was married after the whole thing happened, and then while she was obviously uh, obviously one of Epstein's girls, she wasn't married quite at that time. That came later, obviously. But the thing is that she's been. I remember seeing her like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, first talking about this. She's been talking about this the longest and the most consistent on the subject until she died. And just so happened to be a suicide once again, right around the time the House Democrats start and just Congress in general on the left starts going bonkers about this idea that why is Pam Bondi not doing what she said? Now, I will say this: Pam Bondi has handled this situation absolutely terribly, and if there's somebody to blame in this, that I actually think is acting pretty badly. I wouldn't say with malice. I would just say is acting so dumb about the whole thing. It's really Pam Bondi because, as much as I don't really give much of a concern to, you know, uh, essentially what's going on with all sorts of like just famous people and the circles they run in. Um, the thing is, like, Pam Bondi seems to be someone who was not really prepared for not the job, but just wasn't prepared for Washington D.C. I think is the best way to describe it. Like, no matter what team you put her with, she wasn't going to be, and maybe it's not even being prepared like as far as the mental reinforcement that you have to go through, but it's also just the idea that, like, everyone in this town is going to be backstabbers. Everyone in this town is looking for soft spots and weak spots to poke you. And it just took her way too long. And I still think she's still struggling with it, because I don't think that she comes from a world in general where people are so willing to just backstab you, and even in some cases for no reason, just for no reason at all. They're just willing to, um, and that's why, once again, going back to the people that were in Epstein's circle that were either killed or somehow just ended up dead somehow. And one of them was a guy who was, I think it was a guy who was trying to mm, anyway, somebody who was trying to get at the truth of the situation. And the once again, going back to Trump, out of everybody that was subpoenaed to speak at the actual uh, the actual real court case that was brought up, that put Epstein in jail and ended up with him being suicided. But um, the whole dynamic between people during that period of time kind of shows a lot of what's going on, and who is more trustworthy than someone else, because well, what in the hell was that thing? Anyway, the uh, the thing for the case was that Trump was the only person in that case who offered his testimony without needing to be subpoenaed and compelled to come in, and um, or that didn't have to strike a deal with the agency to bring down um, anybody associated with the group of people that well, one of the people that I watch a lot, Mr. Medicare. Um, Mr. Medicare ended up kind of covering this, and it was kind of hilarious to see, because there was a lot of meltdowns. But anyway, Medicare even covered actually the whole Epstein thing, and he was talking about, that was when everyone was really suspicious of the Clintons, because how many people just happened to die in their employ. Kind of a strange and unlucky time for everybody else. But anyway, so because of the fact that you have all these kind of hardcore tactics coming out in search of people that knew Epstein, and they're getting accused left and right, and then they attempt to accuse Trump, and then it's like, well, but why would he be implicated when he threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, and he offered his testimony to the FBI for when they were bringing him to trial, if there was anything he could do to help um, the case for why he should be found guilty, and why he should be punished according to the severity of what he did, which is pretty damn high up there. Um, but here's the thing, like, that's what makes Trump kind of a wild card in this issue, because at all um, he's not at all part of the original sort of Washington gang of degenerates that they were all part of this weird uh, group of people. But that's the other part, is that we don't even really know how many people were actually, quote unquote, involved. Um, I see this is already starting to happen with other fighting games where um, balances and rebalances are done to kind of try to make the game uh, more accessible once again to different audiences. But it's really sad because I think it's actually a really good game. It's just much better. Number one, if you're playing with a co-op team, not just a group of friends. Well, not just bots, because it's really a much better um, multiplayer game. But um, anyway, um, so so we have that information, right? And that's all common knowledge. Everybody knows this. Everybody in Washington knows this. Everybody should knows this. Should know this. Um, it's not like these are secrets that are buried. And here's the other fun fact, which it's always something you want to keep in mind when you're discussing this situation, because to the group of people that are out there that know about this and know the extent of what happened on the, like, because a case like this is just like the O.J. Simpson case, or just like any major serial killer case from the 21st century or the 20th century, or um, all those things are what's the word? We'll just say all those things are connected, and the big connection is that there's wealthy people that are aligned with Democrats on a lot of these things. So one of the first things that was uh, released that came out from the investigation um, into hmm. anyway, they've tried to pass the buck on to Trump as much as possible, but whenever we find out information, it's like, no, actually, yours is the party that's full of weird, disgusting people, because there's this video in China of a bunch of uniformed officers, and I would imagine uh, most of the company of creatively destroyed. Uh, it's so hard to figure out. But anyway, um, they were the first company to start making these, and there was a lot of good things that were done by people that were involved in the involved in that sort of excuse me, in that level of fraud and that level of cover up. But Trump sure as hell wasn't one of them. Like he essentially, and that's why he said from the beginning that this is like this Democrat hoax. A lot of people, especially the media, once again, is trying to portray this as him saying that who cares about this? Who cares about girls who get hurt or molested or treated badly um, because I'm not going to. Mm, man. See, I have a few other counterpoints, but well, I can play some of the footage because this is what's interesting. So as they keep talking about Epstein more and more, a lot of people are once again pointing out, like, okay, this happened under the Trump's first administration when they brought him in for the second set of charges, and he got essentially told, "Yeah, you're going to be in prison." Um, and from everyone's portrayal of Jeffrey Epstein, how he's constantly always thinking about what angle to approach things from, and what's the best move forward for somebody with that kind of a skin condition of some kind. But anyway, um, excuse me. Um, what really gets me is that, okay, they don't know to the extent of everything Trump said once again, but they know it's probably not good, and they know it's also probably um, going to need to be refuted by a reputable source. So what do? They put out a letter um, that is talking about how one of Epstein's former victims was, uh, and then they redact the name and say that Mr. Trump spent an hour and a half with this underage girl in this, I can't remember what kind of place it was, but it was a place of, I knew it was going to be a place to bring some place. Um, well, and then we got stuff like uh, the continuing, well, not continuing resolution. That was the bill. That was the bill idea. But then you have literally Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, on the floor, stating that we should we should pass this resolution on so that so that hmm, so they have a path forward to disassociate. Only that's not really what they did. And then it comes out that well, you know, I'll let this part speak for itself because I got a lot of I got a lot of clips on this. So let's get to the information because this is where things start to get really wild, and this is where I start to really get pissed because this party is. I'm telling you right now. There may have been a time when Democrats were hell. I've talked about it myself. I used to be a Democrat. Um, if anybody else out there was around during 9/11, anybody else was there in the United States, no matter what country, what state you were from, or where you were watching international events, you were always hearing something that was used to advance the interests of Fox News, and I'm sure that's a tough task, but Medicare managed to pull it off when he was looking for things to do. But as far as stories go that are trying to implement or not implement, insinuate that Trump has some deeper connection to Jeffrey Epstein here. The whole goal, of course, is to find a weak spot for President Trump and exploit it. Because I just saw this is another thing that is crazy. I've been hearing all this lately about how um, um, Trump's approval rating among the general population of the United States is looking kind of bad. It's a little higher than Biden, but a little I think it was a little lower than Obama. So, which really I mean doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, it's like why is this the way that people are making their decisions? It seems first of all it seems like a really niche residential area. So be careful. But yeah, there's some people that have kind of like actually understood the fact that that this whole thing was it was just a big mess of like nothing at all of interest. They're just trying to save their position in Congress or in the Senate, and this is why I talked about uh, the whole sort of biking scene for a while at first because uh, Epstein he liked playing golf. He was nowhere near like some kind of high level. Donald Trump is actually a damn good golfer, but that's just like I think Epstein looks at it as like, okay, rich people will do this, right? Okay, I'm gonna go play golf then. It's like he doesn't do anything. He's so phony. Everything about Gavin Newsom and uh, so many of the leaders in the Democrat side is completely and totally just a blatant load of crap. Like, um, and what I do love though is that like, hey, if they're gonna give themselves the noose to hang themselves with themselves, I don't even have to hand over the knell. Um, that's even better for me because I don't have to waste a bunch of time sitting around thinking about who could be the who could be the next face of DSP gaming. Who would be the next big thing there? And it's not really an easy choice to make because number one, to the extent there is any kind of important, like survival materials, food, water, some way to make shelter, some way to be able to hunt because you're going to need to replenish food. I mean, there's a lot of things you're going to have to prepare for, and neither of the characters look like they were. I mean, they're fleshed out enough to operate on their own, um, but not like in a way that would be uh, easy for people to understand. How did that miss? Um, anyway, so uh, this has sparked another controversy, which I wasn't even going to touch on, but I'll bring it up a little bit real quick because I think that this is just another great example of like, okay, somebody was a victim of gun crime by a sadistic narcissist and xenophobic and Islamophobic in a lot of ways. Because the guy is ultimately at his core, which by the way, as far as the Nick Fuentes things go, I've got a little treat for you guys later this week. I'm gonna be really doing a deep dive into some of the more important aspects of about where he just essentially is well, like I said, here let me get to the clips real quick. Hold on, because this is great. This is absolutely great. So the whole time, and remember, all this time, there's two things that the Democrats are always talking about. They're always talking about two things in particular during the whole time period this whole shutdown was going on and before the shutdown was going on. And of course, it's completely disingenuous, but at least they had some kind of answer at all. Um, he didn't really do much of anything. And that's why when it comes to the what they call it? Oh man, yeah, that didn't quite work out. Anyway, so their whole angle is that release all this stuff on Epstein. There's got to be something incriminating about Epstein. But as I think that they've been looking through the information, because you remember how anybody who's watching that remembers the promises made during the campaign. Um, there was definitely a serious effort to hmm, hmm, where do I start? Let's see. Let me see if I can find the best place to start would be I guess like right after they made the deal, and then uh, and the main reason for this is like this kind of is a not just about Epstein, but once again this will kind of tie in nicely to the stuff we end up getting to later, whether it's later on today or tomorrow. But we're definitely at least doing some Octopath Traveler because um, if you have a Switch and you haven't tried that game yet, I still think that that's. I mean, it's also on PC, so you can get it there too. But man, is it successful and it's incredibly good in its execution as uh, geez, um, there we go. So they the usual attack dogs on the left, like your Jamie Raskins, your Dan Goldman's, and then you got in the Senate side, you got the number one piece of shit himself. You got Gavin Newsom, which I have a song to play for him at some point. I'll get to it. I don't know if I'll get to it today either, but there's a song that kind of I was listening to by this guy. he's definitely younger, but he's not at all like unaware of like this guy's situation is not good. But anyway, um, so they're demanding all the Epstein files come out. They're demanding it be unredacted as much as possible. Blah blah blah. Well, they had to have known that there was going to be some stuff in there that the last administration didn't want coming out, or they would have released it. And now you have the second group of people that want the audio surgery to just be handled by they could just be handled by essentially a uh, metal bat. Yeah, that works. Um, jeez. It's so hard because this whole thing was like just like I said, everything was just mashed together in this weird set of circumstances that makes no sense unless you look at it through the lens of these people just think the American people are totally stupid. They think they'll hear the name Epstein, they'll go into such a frenzy they won't care at all about the truth, the reality, who did what, who's responsible for what. It's like, um, as a matter of fact, in Venezuela, where I was just hearing about what's been going on there with this guy called Barbecue. Every time I hear that, I think of what was that? Was that Married with Children, or was that some Bill Cosby? I think it was Married with Children because if, because if you've never seen the show, it's I highly recommend it. But it was in large part a parody show about what do you call it? It was basically found out for having two guys that she was leading on and blah blah. But one of them was just someone she was trying to get a better deal worked out for someone in that situation because uh, he's agreed that I understand what is going on. He understands what's going on. We'll just call it good at that situation, which is fine with me because you're. I think Michael Knowles really made an excellent point on this. If there was something that was earth shattering that we didn't know yet, and we would have to know to be able to get the door open. Well, you could just take one of your unconscious enemies and throw them through the glass. Uh, but yeah, as she was she wasn't barking, but she was kind of let's stay away from here tonight. I don't know. Ooh, I'm keep bumping the mic. Um, but so okay, when Democrats are trying to force the issue of the Epstein release, they consider that a win for their side. They consider it a loss for SNK, which, by the way, SNK has been not no way they're releasing it. Was it already out? Hmm. It's, um. Hmm. Well, anyway, yeah. Let me play those clips right now. Let's go to let's go to the first one about the results of this super important investigation that was going on into to how deep the roots run between Donald Trump and uh, Tony Hinchcliffe. Like it's really it's so scary. Uh, it, it's a land of peace, like we were told it was. No, not really. Um, it's a failure of education system, and it's a failure of responsibility, ideology, etc., etc. And oh, I did it again. um, Nothing has really been able to like give anybody on the left some kind of talking point, but oh my goodness, have we found out a lot of things about the left? And go back full circle to a Congresswoman who was at the highlight part of these scandals, not Jasmine Crockett, but someone Jasmine knows at least to some degree. And she thinks it's foolish to pursue someone who um, believed to have some sort of issue of sexual molestation. Um, and anyway, so this is their plan. They're going to try and taint the president as much as possible. But when they get to the future, at the end of the newer movie, it's like you see what it's time, when to go back, when to do this, when to do that. And he's like, okay, all right, I'll do it. So they go to this area, but it's just it's it can't help but leave you with a feeling of wow, like who actually who are all up on the other side, and hey, maybe they're nobody and they're reacting, but that's still valid as long as their opinion is something that number one makes sense, and number two, um, it's uh, it's amazing. It's amazing at what kind of low. Oh yeah, I know what you do from there. You go all the way back there, and then maybe you'll find it. Yeah, they will. Um, the character models are brutal and disgusting also as well. But what really did it for Gundam was that it was a giant mech. It was a giant mech anime, and it wasn't like Evangelion where it was like people who were exceptionally good at what they did. All fighting forgive me, and we'll do the mission we need to do now. But um, wow, man, I have to make sure she's with the. Um, anyway, yeah. So they call these things in, and they get them all prepared, and they get everybody ready. It's like, oh, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be where they start dropping information. The only thing they can drop information on, because she's still a sitting congresswoman. She's she's the only one. Mm, Gustave. Um, hmm, again, a long time ago. Um, hmm, I don't know where that shit went. I have to find it. Well, here, hold on. In the meantime, let me uh, yeah. Oh man. Did you see why that was going on? By the way, I don't know if you saw the clips of what the BBC actually did, but man, that was worse than what our government did or not our government, our media did when they were trying to misrepresent January 6th, and because they used, I mean, I know the speech pretty damn well as far as at least the highlight points, the points that are really Trump-like, like yeah, he goes from like super friendly old man to this mountain and rock climbing nut that uh, is is still amazing freaking garbage. Uh, good luck finding one now. Anyway, um, the BBC's clips were about 54 minutes apart from what I heard, but I know the speech and the fight like hell part didn't come in until it was basically understood that. I mean, it wasn't hard to figure out what he was talking about. He was talking about uh, people within the military. He believed had strong enough. Um, I'll just say it's basic supplemental nutrition to be able to build muscle keep your bones in good condition. But a lot of them cause high levels of anxiety and a handful of other challenges. Each of them, yeah. And now, for whatever reason, like I said, for the fact that she knows she has used this again, so I don't know who she's happy about. But anyway, anything else we have? Oh, there's super cheap. Anyway, um, hmm. Well, I can't seem to find it, but I'll go through all the ones that are relevant, and then we'll kind of go through. I might only have time to go through the Epstein stuff at this point, and then end up saving the other stuff for tomorrow because, man, this is going by fast. But, and I got started late today. I didn't want to get started this late, but, I mean, the good news is everything's working. It seems like everything's back in order finally, and this is, and I got to tell you, I've been dying to just finally get this stream up and going because, I did not want to miss another critical event that was going on as I was talking about it, but I might be able to finish off with one other thing too, because it is another relevant point. Because like the whole theme of today is that, as I've said before, Democrats, you could write down their rules for their for engagement. Rule is not my mind. Rule is not my mind, or like rule my bodies but not my mind, or something like that. Like it's basically to suggest that Trump is trying to create a new slave trade. The guy on the bottom left knows the guy was on what's it called? Is that the one on Hammer? I think that's the one on no, I mean not Hammer. Anyway, I think I know which one they're talking about, but hmm, I'm not sure. Anyway, regardless of what happened there, though, the point is that you got this big red cable coming out, and it's going to be distracting for people who are watching. So people normally will want to keep it on a lighter, um, and because they're I don't know. It's hmm, 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 hmm. Well, where is my folder even with the video clips in it? I know that's here somewhere. Um, but it really is like um, I don't want to say it until they get to the point that I'm trying to get to because it's so mind blowing when you hear the way that they treat this. And I guarantee you, like there's two things that are obvious about this and are really despicable. Number one, um, the reason that anyone but probably their weapons would be something they need to like that you would need to push for a really long time. And uh, you can turn it off. Now you need to touch it. Uh, that's where Six Rivals comes in. Anyway, I think I figured out the folder though. Let me see if I got um, the right file here. So I'm Where's my? I swore I wasn't going to lose them today, but looks like I may have. Or did they end up on the? No, they didn't end up on. Oh, yes, they did. Hey, here we go. Okay, sweet. Oh, I forgot about this. Sorry, 2 seconds. Let me find. Geez, what happened to my little thingamabobber that's for? Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, I know exactly where to look. I just remembered. Here we go. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Magnificent. Um, but anyway, as all these, you know, as all these reports coming out about uh, um, there's some funny there's like some funny stuff going on with the people that are supposedly the most capable of leading the country, and they're leading it all right. They're leading off a cliff, but um, and another thing that really frustrates me is that it's something that I've touched on, but I'm really starting to recognize that there's two things going on that have never happened before. Because they're first of all, the first reason is because there wasn't any other real real purpose we could read that it got enough to got enough to market, and then we'll turn it into a pig and blah blah blah. So anyway, um, there's like this. You guys remember the whole birthday card fiasco with the supposed birthday card that Epstein got from Trump, where it was supposed to look like some woman's nether regions, I guess, and it was just the most weird scribbly language. It looked nothing like Donald Trump's signature I've ever seen on anything he signed when he's been in office. And I would have imagined if you're standing next to a priest, then you know, starting to make some progress here. Or not in that way, but like someone who's um, someone whose form is a little bit more genuine than Steven Crowder's is. He hasn't had a bunch of surgeries to make certain body parts bigger. But over the course of the information gathered about the situation, Virginia was, and bear in mind, Virginia had been in the employ of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for a long time. She was one of the longest running girls as far as like someone they would send out if no one else would no one else go anything away. So um, that's uh, that's a pretty rough one. But anyway, I thought I found it. Oh wait, no, because I did, because it's in this folder. Yeah. Oh wait, no, it's on this one. This is what makes this hard. Once again, if I had a thumbnail to see these, this would be so easy to spot, and I could pick it out right away and see it exactly. But because I didn't know that was something I needed to do, I did realize that I think the culprit was Trigun's mysticism and um, hmm, 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 uh, try not to, but promises. Anyway, hmm, well, I guess there's not going to be any other way around it. I'm going to have to really change the way that I had my ideas set up for the next couple episodes. And the good news is it'll be easy to cover, and it should still be relevant, especially as this week goes by, because what is NPCs? Hmm, hmm. um, I still can't even find these things. Yeah, they were up here, and let's see, I guess. Oh boy, I made a mess, but that's okay. I'll clean it up later. Um, now I can just there we go. I need my crushed menthols for my cigarettes. um, anyway, I think I finally found what I was looking for. If I can finally get to this. Yes, here we are. Here we are. Here we go. Okay. All right. Finally, I can give you guys something. Freaking wine. Jeez Louise. I've been rambling about this the whole time. And so now I have some backup in case you don't believe me about how ridiculous these people look when they answer these questions about this stuff. But um, let's see. Hmm, like, that's interesting because the thing about well, this is what really frustrated the hell out of me was that so this all leads to one sort of really big bombshell event that came out um, based on the reports that came out when the Democrats would not shut the hell up about the Epstein thing. Um, and Trump has been maintaining, and let me explain this a little bit because this is it wouldn't make a lot of sense unless you really understood what Trump was trying to say by saying that it's a hoax. Um, when he says a Democrat hoax, when he calls the Epstein saga, the Epstein files, the Epstein information, the Epstein crusade, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Um, he's not saying that it's not true that Jeffrey was. I mean, he's even come out and called him a really disgusting, horrible person that he didn't recognize him for who he was at the time because he was still asleep, but she was trying to go. I don't know if she was going out to do like a run or if she was trying to go do something in particular. If that was the case, I thought she would take the car. But anyway, um, so this morning she's out running and uh, has some power tools that are being used in the garage, obviously, and um, where his warehouse is going to be. Um, a lot of boxes everywhere, especially in the places in complete disrepair. But it does provide a good spot for people that are members of a body that is in general looked at more negatively than any. I heard. Um, well, that part's not important because it's explained right there with one of Virginia Roberts and or Virginia Dufresne, and some of the neighbors she talked to, some of the people she confided in with what happened, all wanted her to speak out and say something about it. But the problem was that if she was going to do that, she would need to have some really good, twisted, not twisted, but twisting messages all around her. Yeah, I think nobody even talked to. But anyway, so this is back in 2019 when they're trying to pin something on Trump again. This is after RussiaGate and after pretty much everyone had assumed that yeah, this none of this seems to be really any kind of cold hard serious intelligence. This seems to be more like haha, I have something you can't do, and it's really I wouldn't say clear that it's cool, but I would say clear that he used the little miniature bottles again. Anyway, um, so oh, that must be me being able to see. Yeah, that's gotta be. It's got the only way that makes any sense is if somebody that attempting to linger slowly. But so anyway, so they're having a hearing this time on anything that'll get they can get to stick on Trump, and everyone knows how much time, especially in the '90s and the early 2000s, that. Oh wait, I have a new one over here. Um, that everybody knows that they're friends, but like everybody knows that Bill Clinton and Epstein were friends. Bill Gates and Epstein were friends. Like he had a circle of friends that were all really, I guess, quote unquote friends. They were probably more like Trump looking for business ventures while they were there, more than just to hang out and have some beers, like some men, and watch the game and just like that. I will say that is a kind of funny perspective. I could see. Uh, hmm, good example. Um, so um, we find out finally. Let's just get to the bombshell. So you may remember Stacy Plaskett. Stacy Plaskett is the representative from the Virgin Islands. It might sound kind of crazy because the Virgin Islands aren't exactly part of the United States proper. Like they're not actually one of the 50 states in the United States, but they're a state in direct line sight of your position, and what would that be with this thing here? Oh, I don't know. That's why I use this program. Um, Audio. Hmm, that's a little strange. Anyway, um, so Stacy Plaskett, the representative from the Virgin Islands, who also, by the way, in another in another congressional hearing where they're discussing, they're supposed to be discussing how this was before everyone kind of already recognized that this was true, and everybody already knew that Epstein is a bad dude. Anybody that's sticking up for him probably already knows what he's up to, just covering for him and yada yada. That was before that really kind of become the traditional standard by most people in the United States. Um, but at the same time, like once again, Trump kind of blurted this out, and this is something you don't hear politicians do nearly that often. Is just kind of like tell the truth and do it in a way that's like, because they're on a discussion back and forth with a journalist or something, and they're trying to make their far lower priced PC be able to run a high end downgraded, not downgraded, but an engine that can be worked with pretty simple like information dump of some kind uh, about the boss's hair. But anyway, there's a little secret that was. Oh, and what I was going to say was that she called Matt Taibbi a so-called journalist um, because he had through the course of his investigation into former Twitter, while it was under the control of, or supposedly under control, I guess, of uh, Mike Man. Mike being the last man standing uh, as far, as far as like are they gonna are they just going to keep up this weird charade? Well, I guess so. They can't really do anything about it. Um, but they don't have to. Or I guess I haven't fought one of the most major bosses yet, so maybe they are. But even if they were, I doubt it, because um, the the the, the wasp itself is like and I mean the little bugs wasp, not a wasp as in the acronym, um, but oh man, I got all these good things over here. Uh, hmm, I should have moved that stuff to my stash, and I would have been able to. I'll do that next time I go back. Anyway, so as we're preparing to get into this last account, I'm kind of recognizing, wow, man, things are going crazy. What happened during this discussion? Well, it turns out that she, who wasn't, uh, she wasn't like disappointed, but she was probably more confused than anything else. And what do you mean you're gonna say? Yeah, it's just an unusual usual twist. But anyway, um, so she's she's about to do I guess uh, crossing over with uh, the porcelain. What? Ooh. Hmm. 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 This is another interesting question, though, as far as I was thinking about that one the other day too, about how what like, Well, you resume that, but you can see. Oh, geez, my mic is too close. Anyway, I'm realizing now that I'm gonna need to probably organize one more time because this ended up being slow as hell. Yeah, you know what I'll do? Here's what I'll do. I found the folder finally. It took way too long to get there, but um, I think this is a great illustration of exactly why this whole fiasco has led to a huge divide in the party. And I swear, if Republicans self-sabotage this time around to the point that they're criticizing their own members of their party more than they're criticizing the perspective of people who aren't in alignment with the ideology or uh, aren't in line with it. And he's so quick to change the subject every time. It's hilarious. Like, oh, that didn't work. Oh shit, I gotta come with something else. Yeah. Like everybody is going totally and completely insane all the time, no matter what it is, any given time in political circles for any question. But yeah, so here we go. Which one's the best one to? It wasn't that one for sure. Okay. Well, there's probably, let's see. Because what was interesting for me to watch when I watched back a lot of these old clips was that there's a lot of confidence on behalf of a lot of the Democrats in that anybody who was at Mar-a-Lago was going to have nothing but nasty things to say about Trump and his family. It's like those are always the people though that look like they're trying to or sound like they're trying to get something out of uh, some kind of discussion about this. But um, the problem is that uh, well, how is that? Well, I had to choose the old guy. Hmm. Hmm. Saturday shift time. Yeah, I guess I can't figure out which one is going to be the one that has the right information in. So, hmm, I see a great substitute I could do, and I think I probably will just do that because I've gone on and on about this whole thing. I just wanted to go away, to be honest, but um, it's like if you did, like, Yeah. Um. hmm. Ah. ah. Mm-hmm. There. Yeah. That's nice. Um. Yeah. That's what I'll do. Okay. So where did that file go again? Was it? I should have just played it. I think. Oh, no, it's not even coming up. I forget. Yeah. Like Microsoft and Mac all have to be. Uh, Always have to be competing and butting heads with each other, and one's always the victor, and one's always like, "Are we really think about what we're doing and why we lost this? Why?" Like, man, that's such a, now him on the other side of his own flames. Um, which isn't a bad idea considering, but anyway, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do it on the next episode. I was just, is there any one thing that would work that would be, because the problem is like everything requires a little extra context, and I couldn't really just play something and throw it out um, as a standalone piece without something to kind of follow up on it to kind of make sense of the bigger picture of the whole incident. So, and I don't think I got with all the things I had to get rid of and replace. I don't know if I replaced those, and now that's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't think I did. Um, this is really disappointing as a first return, but I guess as a first return, because man, I've been running myself ragged to get this stupid situation fixed. But everything's in place, everything's good to go. I think, yeah, everything's all right, man. I just, God, uh, I had a plan for everything in my head that how everything was gonna work, and I realized I was missing a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to think how is this gonna fit. I think I'm gonna have to just reschedule the episode for this tomorrow. We just treat this as a return video and an explanation of what was going on, I guess, because um, man, it's there was every time I go back to trying to figure out what to do on this, like kind of realize that, oh yeah, there was that too. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yes, it's like I had so many videos that I trimmed or I had prepared and ready to bring into the editor to get the file to or combination of files to um, but yeah, that's the only way I think it'll be worthwhile because I don't have all the information I wanted to have here yet, and I'm gonna have to get it all together before I can put the full picture together. And it really needs to be presented all together because this has been such a divisive topic. And what's interesting is that I was kind of getting into this earlier, but I didn't really finish the thought because um, I was trying to move into the next subject. But when it comes to like a threaded barrel attachment, that's like your suppressor or your anti-material rifle or whatever it is that you're basically using to like someone would be not presenting the full story without all that stuff there. So um and I needed to let everybody know what was going on, and that was still going to be around. And I hadn't even posted anything on X, to be honest, because it was just honestly, it was kind of embarrassing for me. Not because of anything from Benny. Benny's cool, but for me being so um, I guess apparently the devil incarnate too. Who'd have known? But in any case, that's really unfortunately the best I could probably be able to say for now because um, I try to pull down clips of stuff that whenever I see it, I try to save it. But I've run into another issue too, and it's I think I found something that was stable, so it's not like too big a deal. But if it goes down again, then maybe there'll be another problem. But um, sites for downloading Windows YouTube videos are like they're just like vanishing. They're getting taken down. I don't know if that's because YouTube is enforcing that, or another company is enforcing that on their behalf, or what exactly it's doing. But the prehistoric sources is a lame one. He uses his shotgun. They use their dualies to go in with double pistol. But anyway, I think we'll have to handle it like that because it's been so long since I did an episode. I had to let you guys know what was going on. It really sucked, and still going to be feeling the effects at least for this time. But um, hopefully by tomorrow, I think we'll be in much better shape. And one last thing, and this is just specifically for you, MLA, because I just got this just before the show started, as a matter of fact, and have to use this before something comes up because I was really interested in this, and I can get the box open, and I got enough arcade sticks now to basically put this into at least one of them and have it set aside for because I usually have a stick that in each game I kind of feel more comfortable with, um, and I have that for just about everything. And there's double ups, but I mean, like, there's generally like a feel that feels best with certain games that just doesn't feel as good with other games, and so I decided, what the hell, I'm gonna go out of my way to make sure I get one for Tekken, and if I'm gonna go out of my way and get something for Tekken, get a arcade stick, not a full stick, but get just the lever part that's gonna be gonna be used in whatever stick I want to use it on, and I might as well go for top tier. Oh, is this what I think it? Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is the knee lever, Neo. Anyway, yeah, I've never used a Korean stick before either, so this should be interesting. But yeah, this is I'm gonna try. I think the Hori Alpha, I think will fit this stick. I think I heard that, and if not, I know the Klamba Obsidian, the first Obsidian, definitely fits this stick. So I definitely have something that'll fit in, but I'll have to fiddle around with it. But anyway, yeah. So sorry for the jumping around all over the place on this show, but tomorrow should be a lot more straightforward, uh, and I won't be so freaked out. I did have to do some last minute video setup on this one too because the green screen was just not cooperating today, and I think I fixed that too, so there won't be any issues there either. But anyway, yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. I'm probably gonna leave this one as a live only show and take it as a private and. But either way, from here on out, we'll be back on hopefully a more normal schedule. I am desperately hoping that. Oh, I should mention this, I guess, too, because this is really relevant. And it will probably explain at least a little bit to some people that might not have known up until this point what's been going on. I don't like to talk about this stuff because I don't want to make it seem like I'm making excuses or anything, but because of the fact that there's been so much that's gotten in the way of uh, doing just the show on a general basis, and I've talked about the MRI, talked about the results, talked about um, having an appointment with the neurologist. I just never got to come back and talk about the results from the neurologist of what was discovered and what he recommended, what he found out, and what the ultimate sort of results were. And so I guess I can do that real quick before I take off. So um, I basically got a more or less a diagnosis of what it is that's going on, and it's not like a it's not like a uh, it's not confusing or anything. It's just not as straightforward or as easy to deal with as something that would be a little bit more commonplace, because it is like a unusual sort of condition. But I don't even remember the I don't remember the name, but it's like it's it has something to do with the blood vessels. It says like vasculosis or something like that. Anyway, the way it was kind of described is that from from the smaller blood vessels that are connected to your spinal cord, and that travel out and kind of get down to really small size vessels. Um, there's so much stress and so much uh, fluctuation in blood pressure that they they essentially close, or they get so small they end up not being able to have anything pass through them. Um, and it's a cause for extreme mood fluctuations and extreme tiredness to come on, which would explain why I've fallen asleep on stream before, especially if it was a stressful day setting up the stream or whatever. Um, and there was a few other like aspects of like things that could trigger it, but ultimately it comes down to the uh, the issues where I have the most trouble, and hence with, as I've said before, when it comes to first appearance. But uh, but anyway, that's basically kind of I mean, I got all kinds of new medication. There's supposed to be another specialist now. I'm gonna have to see that's in a new position, but I don't know. I don't remember his name, but he's somebody that my brother obviously was kind of something my brother was kind of familiar with. But anyway, so that was kind of the end result so far of what's going on there, and I've tried to keep the stressful situations down to a minimum, but at the same time, it's like if I'm going to do the show, there's going to be at least a uh, at least some kind of a chance that what's it called? Uh, that's true. That's- Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll just leave it at that one for this one. Once again, sorry this wasn't a normal episode, but we'll be back on that hopefully soon. I'm finally back to a normal setup. Uh, I got everything working that I was trying to fix. I got everything fixed that I was trying to incorporate into the setup, and it's just a matter of getting my ass in the chair and doing the last little work every day to get everything together. So And I'll try and finish off all the videos that I need to get ready in terms of what needs to be done before the next show. So I'm gonna try like hell to be on tomorrow. I really will, because I don't like leaving it like this at all. But I'll. I just don't want to make a promise in case something comes up that who knows is keeps happening like that. So if I don't caveat that, I'm just gonna feel like shit. Um, so yeah, that will do it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one, and hopefully it's be a little bit more of a fun one. And well, I'm sure it will be. So until then, have fun. Take care of yourselves. Peace out. Have a good one.